Okay, so just talk and we'll test levels.
Okay, alright. So what do we talk about? Just like...
Oh, just right now I'm testing levels.
Okay.
So
We're getting this on video. Is this like a video podcast? Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I forgot to do it on the first one.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
So we just talk about like anything?
Literally anything.
Yeah, so I think we can just like bounce back and forth.
Oh, I see.
The really cool thing, it seems like the first podcast, listening to the start of it, was like a lot of backstory, how people got started, how people
I see.
You guys want to do that? So
Yeah,
I don't know if I should do an intro. I haven't figured out what I want to do. I'm never good at intros, but I don't know.
You can just
Welcome back. Welcome
Yeah.
back, guys, to the second Checkmat podcast. Literally recording this like 2 hours from the first one.
Fast guys.
Yeah, right. No, we got a lot of guys. Different group of guys this time. I don't know if I should introduce myself again, but I'm Curtis. Been training at Checkmat for like 2 years. You can just listen to the first one, but yeah, I don't know. We decided to do this podcast. Hopefully we'll get all kinds of people in, like from beginners to like pros, and then we'll talk about just anything, like life in general, being part of Checkmat. I guess not so much about Checkmat, just being like a martial artist in general. But yeah, just mostly shoot the shit because we find ourselves just talking amongst ourselves after training anyway. So I thought we might as well just start a podcast.
Record it.
I don't know if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Okay.
Let's go counterclockwise, clockwise. Clockwise.
Okay, alright. So my name's Chris. I've been training at Checkmat for about 5 years, maybe 6. And really enjoy it, and I don't know what else.
So like when did you start? What was your first like martial art thing? That's all we talked about.
We all
like,
talked about?
Like Roger talked about being in Taekwondo.
Oh, okay,
when he was like 6 years old and stuff.
Yeah, I did a little Taekwondo before training in anything, and
How old are you?
I was probably like 7 or 8. I did that for about a couple of years.
Where was that? So you don't know Roger? It was in the same class.
No, it was, I don't think so. It was actually my cousin was like an instructor, so like I learned from him for a bit. But one thing that separates like Taekwondo from like this is I feel like for Taekwondo there's less practical sparring, and for this it's more you can apply this a lot more to real life. And I quickly learned in my high school years, when I did have an actual fight, that the Taekwondo stuff was not too useful.
When was this? When was your first fight?
Oh, when I was like in grade 10, I fought this guy that was a lot bigger than me.
Yeah.
And,
What was the context for why did you guys fight? Yeah.
Oh, he was just kind of bullying me, and like there was some other stuff I don't really remember, but like
Oh, okay.
I was just like, I'm just gonna fight this guy.
Yeah.
And he kicked my ass.
Really?
Yeah. So I went to the hospital. My eye was like bleeding, and like
Oh.
at first I did karate for a while, and I did Taekwondo, so I thought I had this. Even though he's a larger guy, it's just a false sense of confidence, right?
Joey was talking about, if you guys got to that part where Joey's talking about, they kind of hand out karate black belts pretty easily.
I have like
It's
So do you have a karate black belt too?
No. Wow. But like I don't say like I've got a certain belt, 'cause
yeah.
it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I feel bad saying that, but I completely agree.
Yeah.
People like try and say, you know, if you tell them I do a bit of jiu-jitsu and different martial arts, it's like, oh, was that like karate? You know, my son's got like a black belt and he's like 14. I'm like, it's slightly different. But I respect it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but
How long did you Taekwondo for?
I didn't do it for too long. I think for like 3 years or so.
When you were like really young?
Yeah, when I was younger, and then I did karate because one of my classmates did that, and then we went to class in the community center.
Which one? I don't know if you guys got to that part where Joey's explaining Gojiro and Kyokushin and all that stuff a little bit.
It was Kyokushin karate, and then I moved to doing Shotokan for a little bit.
And then can you explain the differences again?
Oh,
Just 'cause I don't
Kyokushin
really
is
know.
you can hit every part of the body except for the head with punches.
Okay.
You can kick to the head though, but you can't punch someone in the face.
Well, that makes
So-
sense.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any
Yeah,
sense. Plus,
but-
you have super thin gloves that are like foamy.
Come in, man. Come in.
If he wants to.
Yeah. Bounce an extra one.
Yeah, sure, why not? We're trying to make
You
this
wanna
as
hop in on
spontaneous
this?
as possible.
Podcast.
We're doing a podcast right now. You're
That's
more
probably
than
good.
welcome.
Pull up a chair.
Do it!
I mean, I'm not much of an interesting person, but
Yeah, neither am I.
Don't worry, no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But we're
Just
hoping
pull
that
it
the sun's going to be larger than the
here
whole parts or whatever.
More space. But I guess that's my martial arts experience prior to like training here. But yeah.
And then when did you come to Checkmat?
I came to Checkmat about 2013, 2014.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's, what is that?
About
like 4.
5 years ago.
Yeah,
and
5,
then
6 years ago.
How old are you then?
I'm 27 now. I was about 21, 22 when I first started training.
Then why'd you go Checkmat?
Oh,
Or
because
it was dynamic back then?
it was dynamic
Right.
back then.
Yeah.
That's because when I was in high school, I did a free trial at the Oak Ridge location, and I really liked that. And then I realized that they moved to like the East Block, like that area.
Yeah.
And when I went in, I did one class, and I thought this is gonna get me in super good shape. So
Oh, what did they do in that first class?
we did a lot of conditioning. The guy that was training us, the beginners class, was Matt Trudeau, and he was really heavy on like just a lot of conditioning. So we do some techniques and a lot of Tabatas and stuff afterwards.
Tabatas.
What's a Tabata?
So you go like 30 seconds hard doing something, maybe hitting the bag hooks, and
Yeah.
then, like you take a 30-second break, and then.
Oh, is that what it was? I thought. Is there different intervals? I thought it was like 20 and 10. That's what I thought about.
Oh, I think he just made it 30 because we were all like kind of newbies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
so-
Because I feel like Tabata, the way I knew it was like 20 on, 10 kind of like light jog.
Yeah.
Kind of chill, and then
It's
20
okay.
really hard, and then I don't know.
So that's like a
Maybe
step up
probably.
from the hit training, like high
Yeah.
intensity.
Well,
Yeah.
it's part of it. I'd say that's part of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But I feel like, probably he toned it down a bit because if it was too hard, then people wouldn't come back, right? So
Yeah.
make it fun.
Yeah.
So
What happened? Do you know what happened to those guys? By the way? 'Cause that's what they're talking about in the first podcast. Like all those guys matched.
Yeah, Matt was. I think what happened was like after he had one fight, something just changed. Like, he used to be really passionate about teaching us, and like he would put in a lot of extra time with me, especially. And after this one match, he hurt his shoulder or something went down, and then it seemed like he kind of lost the motivation, and he was like, "Oh, I'm like finding it hard to like make money and all that stuff." So I think that's when he was gonna do his. I forgot what he does for
Like
work,
outside?
but yeah, some
Yeah.
outside stuff. So he started like, I don't know, it just seemed different.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
I can see that happening. Like
Yeah.
if you're so invested in something, and then one thing gets taken away that you
Yeah.
can't no longer do that.
Because
thing,
we
you
were
just-
talking about that, like Joey was. I don't know if you guys got to that. I keep saying this, but Joey was talking about how he's trained like his whole life, and then when he took that fight, it's like if he loses or whatever, it's kind of like all of
it's
that
all
training.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, we as like trained, like we fight and all that stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Like we see it differently, right? Like you're not. That one fight doesn't define you.
Exactly.
as a
Yeah.
fighter. Like I believe that. I know that, right? Like it's like Carson when he fought in Jay and stuff like that. Like even though if they lost or whatever, it's like I know they're better than they performed. And that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's fighting professionally or fighting in a competition is like you're performing, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
just like another match, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like a performance thing, right?
Yeah, and performance anxiety is going to be a huge factor.
Yeah, and then like it's people watching,
Pressure.
and it's like
Yeah.
and like the build up. Because I remember we were at that. Remember the world champion? Oh no, you didn't go to that one. The one with Jay and like world champion box come down and Steveson, kind of like remember Jay and Roger and whatever they did the amateur competition. It was a while ago. You didn't come. You
the
didn't come.
PFL,
though.
one round tournament.
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah.
I saw clips of it, but like I never. Yeah.
But that one's like it's so disorganized. I said this in the last podcast
Yeah.
where like you don't know who's next, kinda, and then you're like watching all these people, so you're trying to stay warm, but like am I next? And then Jay finished his round, and then it was like there was a bunch of fights after that, and then he was like packing up his stuff. And they're like, "Oh, Jake, you have one more match or whatever." They just like pulled him in for another one. It's kind of like, "Okay, I have to put all my stuff on again."
That's so
Right?
professional.
Yeah, right. Real
Fuck.
professional. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much every jiu-jitsu tournament. Like
Oh,
everything's
yeah.
always so disordered and so disorganized. You just move one match forward, move one
Yeah,
match
that-
back, and
Yeah.
like
Well, it's probably because there's so many guys.
Yeah.
Too, right? Yeah.
Like that actually happened on the very first tournament I competed in. It was the AVA, and it was like a month ago now.
Yeah.
And I was meant to be competing at 2 different times, gi and no gi. And essentially what happened was my no gi matches got pushed back to be at this exact same time as my gi matches.
Oh.
So it was like it was
Yeah.
you and Otto that actually sorted that out. But
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I wasn't even aware. So these things
Like,
just like
and
happen out of nowhere.
fucking head of the whole thing. He was passing it off like it was no big deal. Okay, well,
Well, I'm
choose-
sure-
yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it's just amateur, or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, true.
It's
Like,
not,
it's-
it's not like
it's not a
chess,
big.
but
It's not like
Yeah.
a record or whatever,
But
right?
still, you on top
You
of
paid,
it,
right?
You paid to
You
do
paid
this,
to
so
get
it should
in.
be some sort of organized.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true. It's true. Yeah. Okay, so who's next?
Our man Adrian.
What's up? What's going on?
this is the
So
guy who just
Adrian-
burst in.
yeah, this is the guy we have. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what we doing? We just
So like, what's your background with everything? Just like, when did you first start doing martial arts? I guess I'd say.
I guess way back when I was like 10, I did like Kyokushin karate. So I think that's how like a lot of people got started. Like well, my parents, they saw me as like a delinquent, so they're like, you know what, let's put you into let's use that energy and put it into like something creative. Let's get you to punch other kids in the face. So that was that's what I think my dad thought. But he didn't realize Kyokushin was like just katas. So I got into that because
Wouldn't
of him.
Kyokushin be more of the sparring heavy karate style?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
But you did.
I did a lot of
You did more
sparring.
katas than you did some sparring, but you did more katas than you did
More katas
Yeah.
than sparring. Like I did 3 tournaments, but out of those,
What's a kata?
it's a dance. Like
Yeah.
it's like a karate
Yeah.
dance, choreographed karate dance where you go 1, 2,
You got to breathe
3.
heavy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like shadow boxing, but if it was organized, like you have a set like skill, you're like jab, cross, slip to like whatever, but you kind of like go and
Everybody knows
yeah.
the sequence.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
literally the guy
Yeah.
kind of judges.
So that's when you
judges
see in the movies they're all on the line
Yeah.
doing that sequence.
That's exactly what it was.
So you guys would do katas. So
Yeah.
that's like
Interesting.
Yeah.
okay.
like.
That wasn't a waste of time at all.
No, of course not. No, absolutely not. I mean, it kept me in line for sure. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like,
that's true. Like the discipline and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did you do that for?
I think it was like 2 years, 3 years. And
When you
then
were like, how old was this?
10, 9 or 10. I ended up like dropping it for basketball for a while.
Oh, yeah.
So I played basketball up until high school.
So that was your martial art, basketball.
That's
Funny-
his background.
In high school.
Yeah, I guess that's what it was.
Yeah.
But funny, you actually mentioned the Oak Ridge one. I actually started there too with Adam Ryan and
Oh, really?
Matt Trudeau.
Oh, yeah,
He was
yeah.
the strength and conditioning coach, but he only did it on the weekends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Do you remember Joel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joel Weasel, yeah.
Yeah. Joel was doing it there too, so he got me into it.
How'd you know Joel?
My cousin actually dated him.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, my cousin dated
To this
him.
day, or
No.
Okay.
No, I think it was like
Yeah.
a 1 month thing. Is
Yeah.
strange.
But it got you in.
it got me into it. So, yeah, like Joel got me into it. I did it for a month,
Mhm.
and then I moved to Gracie Baja to do like jiu-jitsu for a week.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't that good. I don't know. I lost interest.
Oh yeah.
At this point in time, I was just trying to figure out like what I wanted to do.
And then why'd you come back?
Not
Or like
getting
when?
Not getting any younger. Like,
Yeah?
Like, I've been always interested in like competing and like fighting for a long time.
Mhm.
Like, I guess one day, just sitting at the office, I just thought like, man, if I committed to this like 5 years ago, I'd be okay.
You'd be more of a monster than you are right now.
I wouldn't say I'm a monster. I'd say not proficient, just enough, just
Yeah.
good enough
Mhm.
for myself.
Right. Because I know a lot of the other guys, like I don't like in the first podcast, they were saying, you know, when you see UFC or like an MMA fight for the first time, like professionally on TV or something, like there's 2 types of guys, right? Like it either really resonates with you and you're like, yo,
Yeah,
like, I want to
Yeah.
do that, or it doesn't, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
For me, I would say it didn't really even. I was kind of, that's really cool. Actually, I don't even remember the first time I even watched a UFC fight. Actually, I don't even remember.
Yeah, no. If you think about it, like, what is the first fight?
The first fight
You
ever
actually-
televised?
The first
That
fight
you
you
can
remember?
I remember the first any fight thing I watched on TV was like WWE.
Yeah,
that's
so dope. I can talk about that for hours on end.
I didn't even watch it that much. Just my dad liked it, so I was just like, he'd
Yeah.
watch it and I'd watch it.
Yeah.
So whatever.
It was like the WWE was crazy in like my elementary school. Like we all tried.
Yeah, everybody's.
Yeah.
Yeah. What elementary school did you go to?
It was Moberly Annex, and then
Because
it
I went to
became-
Moberly.
You went to Moberly
Like,
Mid-
Moberly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Because Achilles went to Moberly as well.
Yeah. Well, so me and him go back to.
No way.
Yeah, we were in like we were in kindergarten together, but then he got transferred, and then we were in grade 4 together. But then we only became like really good friends in grade 6.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you there?
You guys are the same age?
Yeah, we're the same age. Yeah. So it's like so it was in track where we're both like the fastest, and then my dad was the coach of the soccer team for like outside of school, and then he was like, oh, we should recruit him onto the soccer team, and then that's kind of the beginning of our friend. There's a whole story actually too before that of like how we became friends too. I don't know if I should. I'll say it again. Yeah.
podcast.
Well, I'll just say it. Well, actually, yeah, we'll talk about it later. I'll talk about it when he's here.
Fine,
But,
yeah.
But yeah, so we go way back.
Really?
Yeah. That's like that's like the main reason why I started training is because he started training first.
Oh,
And
that's
then,
crazy. Dude,
That's
Yeah.
cool, man.
That's insane because I went to Moberly and then it became Trudeau, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
I don't know what happened, but in like grade 7, there's this beef
Oh, yeah.
in the grade. I don't know if you knew about it, but like there's these.
In Moberly?
Oh yeah, there's like
Moberly.
inner school.
There's like there's some kids at Moberly that wanted to fight some kids in Trudeau.
Was it Nalfin?
Yeah, no fan.
Yeah, like I remember hearing about that, but I wasn't part of it.
I wasn't
No, so
there.
Achilles actually fought.
Yeah, Achilles. I think
Yeah.
Achilles like kicked his ass or something.
I don't know if he kicked, but I know he won probably. Yeah, and
Yeah,
there was
no.
Achilles and our other buddy Anu fought Nalfin and his friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard about that,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, dude, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
How do I remember all this stuff? Because I wasn't even part of it. I just
I wasn't
heard
part
about
of it. Like,
Yeah.
If I got part of it, my parents would fucking kick my ass.
These are monumental moments in our
Yeah,
childhood,
dude,
really.
it's defining
Yeah.
right, quarter so pivotal
The origins.
moments. Yeah, origin stories.
Yeah.
Damn, so you knew Nalfin. So you weren't friends with him though, right?
No. I was friends with like the nerdy like Asian kids that like anime.
I was that guy too. I'm still that guy.
Yeah,
I still love anime.
I mean,
like
like,
posters,
in a way, we all are that guy at heart. Like,
Well,
No,
no,
definitely.
some people. So like,
Definitely
this
not Asian.
no, but you know what's weird is like some guys. Like I think about Gleb and Manny specifically.
yeah.
And they like they were nerds. And they always say that, but they're like they suppress it now. Like I wish
Yeah.
Manny was here and Gleb were here.
Uh-huh.
But whenever you bring up that stuff that they're into, like Gleb had you know The Witcher 3. Have you heard of Witcher 3?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
game?
No,
it's an
He had,
awesome
so
game,
it's
man.
what it was like game of the year, whatever, like RPG game.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he had a YouTube channel where he had like 2 million views on that one of the
What?
videos he made. Yeah, and then he just stopped because like whenever you bring that stuff, up, he's like, nah, it's just nerd stuff. And like
Wait,
I don't want to
did
be.
he
I'm not
make
nerd
more-
anymore.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm like, bro, and The Witcher. That's so
Sounds good, that
cool.
one.
That's
cool, man.
like, did he make money off of that?
He does still.
Really?
Like when people
Wow.
watch, he gets a little
Oh,
bit of
that's
like.
so
Oh,
dope.
like
whatever.
Google ads.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, something like that. And then Manny too. Like Manny's all into that stuff. And then like once you start talking about it, he gets hyped. But then like after like 5 times, like we should stop. Yeah. He's like, yeah, that's enough nerd talk, man. Let's go. And I'm
Backpedal.
like, okay, all right. But like I don't know. I love that stuff. And that's part
Yeah.
of like why I train too, right? Like Dragon Ball Z and Naruto.
Yeah,
it's like all like
for
really
sure.
motivating.
Yeah.
and,
Like we want to
I
all
don't know.
imagine that we're Goku or Vegeta. in
Yeah,
some
like
ways.
like it's I don't know. I think it's really cool, but I don't know. It just makes me sad when people suppress that.
Yeah.
And it's like, because they're like, yeah, like when you can feel them, like, yeah, no, it's just nerd shit.
I don't fucking love that shit.
Yo, you
Yeah,
guys
I
have
own that
Power
shit.
Rangers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the Power Rangers. That was one. Of
Oh
my
yeah,
that was dope.
that's true. Yeah.
Seeing them all doing them moves and then kicking people in the head and stuff. I was like, yo, man.
Oh,
I wanna
see
be-
ya!
exactly. All these explosions and stuff. I was like, yeah,
Wait.
I don't want to be a Power Ranger.
No,
Yeah.
same. No, I love Power Rangers.
Yeah.
It's sad because when you look at like the backstory of like what happened to the Power Rangers after.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I don't know much. I don't really know
Oh,
much. I
man.
try to not look into it because I know I hear it's bad.
It's,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you talking about like the show going down, or are you talking about some of the Power Rangers
No,
dying?
the actual actors.
Yeah, the actors. Some of them.
I
Some
heard
of
some
them.
bad stories about
Yeah,
that
this
too.
is crazy.
Drug use,
Yeah.
death.
But the Green Ranger was an MMA Power
Yeah, I
Ranger.
heard
He was an
that,
MMA
man.
fighter.
He was trying to have a fight with somebody too, man. I
Was
remember, like in the UFC or like one of the gimmick guys in the UFC. I
CM
don't know if it was
Punk.
CM Punk or something. Was it CM
Yeah.
Punk? Yeah, like he was challenging him, and then thankfully he didn't go for that because that would be a wee bit too much like showy
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff instead of
He
like
reels
raw-
out. He just walks out as the White Ranger.
Yeah.
If he fought and he came out in the White Ranger suit, I would fucking
Yeah.
lose my
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
I would lose it.
And then he loses.
Yeah, and he gets like,
It's
just like, oh, shit.
yeah, man.
All right, Thurston.
All right, I'm up at the batter's box, I
Yeah.
suppose. I've always been a martial arts fan, but I've always been too much of a pussy to do.
Try not to lean on the table. I feel like it might shake.
Oh,
the
am
mic.
I
That's okay.
fucking things up? Yeah. So yeah, I've always been a martial arts fan. I've always wanted to do martial arts. I've always wanted to kickbox, jiu-jitsu, wrestle, but I've always been too big of a pussy to do it too. So, I mean, the first UFC I've ever watched was in like 2005, 2006. But I've never gotten around to like actually going to the gym and
I
training.
feel like it's a lot of guys too, and I feel
Yeah.
like they like. No offense to people that say this, but like whenever you bring it up, have you noticed like most guys that don't train, like I gotta get back into it, like I gotta I should try it sometime or whatever,
Yeah,
but then they
yeah.
kind of don't. Like they're
Yeah.
very like encouraging, as in they're gonna do it, or they have done
they're gonna
it,
do
but
it.
they're not really, and then they like hit the bag on the outside, and then
Yeah,
they're like, why don't you
that
just
was
come
me
in?
for 3 years.
Yeah.
Like I actually signed up for this gym before, for a year before signing on to Checkmat. That's all I'd be doing. Like sometimes I would spend an entire like workout session, just 5 rounds, bam, 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 but not actually like knowing the right techniques, but just getting a good workout in. So in 2017 I took the plunge and I haven't looked back ever since. It's been
That's
so
awesome.
much
man.
fun.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's probably like a lot of people's story, or a lot of people that might listen to this would be in the same boat. They were just like one step out from actually taking the plunge.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
just giving the confidence. to
I
just
feel
jump
like a
in.
big thing is like, I don't know, especially as like men, like males, right? It's like, a fight is like
Yeah.
your like, not, I don't know, your honor, but like your
Proving your worth, kind of.
yeah,
thing.
kind of like if you lose, it's
Yeah.
like a really like it really gets you in your
Yeah.
like soul. It's like I
Yeah.
lost to this. Like he's a better man than me.
Yeah.
like very. It's
Or-
very clear too, right?
That
Like,
or
yeah.
somebody taking your girlfriend or something like that.
I get that's true. I can
Yeah.
see that. That makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Two tokens of the kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's like
male
like
thing,
he's better
yeah.
than me because she chose him or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, but in fighting, it's like it's more like as opposed to other sports because it's like soccer or whatever.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
you
there's
lose
other
the
things,
game too.
and you can like blame it
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
whatever. But
Yeah, but
fighting
it's
is very like fighting's like
one,
you
right?
versus
Yeah.
one other guy, and if you lost, pretty decisive. Like you
Yeah.
got knocked out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like down to you as well. Like there's no one else in there. You can have
Yeah.
all the coaches in your corner. It doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
you versus the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like a battle of like it's really like a weird sort of experience when you're competing with someone and that sort of like combat sport feeling because you kind of feel like you're so close to the person because you feel how they feel and they feel how you feel, and the next
Yeah.
time you know you're fighting, it's like
Yeah.
it's hard to sort of describe until you're actually doing it.
That's why a lot of guys like after you spar or fight them, wherever you build this like bond.
Yeah, it's
You're like,
so
yeah, man, it was
strange,
really
yeah.
cool when you did that thing,
Yeah.
and you just kind of you have this weird like
Yeah.
fighter bond after. But yeah, no, I think that's a big reason why maybe a lot of people they're reluctant to jump in. Like that was how I was too, right? Like for before I trained the longest time, like Keely's training for so long, and he's like, yeah, just come and whatever, and I'm like, yeah, no, I keep saying, and I was at the point where I'm like, I should. I would just say I should. Every time he says that, I'm like, yeah, I should. You're right. Like you're right. I should. Right? Like I wouldn't even lie to myself. Like, yeah, I'm coming. I'll come next. Yeah, I'll come tomorrow or whatever. Right? I'm just like, no, you're right. I should.
Just
And
one of
then-
those things you keep putting off, but then once
Yeah.
you dive
Because
right in.
he would like sneak him in. We're chilling and like we're blazing or whatever, and he's like, "Yo, want to just hit some pads or whatever?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And then, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, no, that's a big thing because a lot of guys you talk to, like even Sadi, the guy that works the front desk,
Yeah.
like he hits a bag, and I taught him a bunch of stuff, and we're always like, "Yo, come in and whatever," and he's like, he's just like not there yet. He's not ready.
Yeah.
but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think also a big part of it is just like people don't want to be, the worst at something, and they don't want to
Yeah.
start fresh, right?
Yeah.
And it might not just be this sport, but I guess like even basketball, or you tell them to play a pickup game, they're like, no, it's okay. But I guess it's more accepting for that kind of stuff because even if you're bad, like someone else can kind of like carry you.
Yeah.
That's true.
But this,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, and also what you mentioned earlier, just like it's demoralizing, like for I guess like as a man,
Yeah, just
Yeah.
get your ass
Yeah.
kicked
just your
like
ass
that.
kicked, right? And
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I don't want to do jits yet, because it's just like
Yeah.
I know the first year is gonna be just I'm getting subbed like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get subbed every.
But
So yeah, just for context, like I don't do any ground game,
Yeah.
and these guys are all jits guys. So like that's what this podcast is. That's
Yeah.
why there's two separate podcasts, but like
Yeah.
Two different worlds.
yeah.
Well, it really is.
Yeah.
Though. Like, and the one thing I've kind of noticed too is, with like other sports like soccer and basketball, if you suck at it, you suck at that sport. That's just one thing you suck at. But I feel like if you suck at fighting, there's so much more attached to that. Because number one, you're bad at fighting, and number two, you're like bad at something a man should be at least capable of.
Yeah.
Like fighting goes further than just being a sport.
Just a sport,
too.
yeah.
Yeah,
'cause-
like I was thinking, like so this other guy came in the other day. So I was doing, I don't know if, I think I told you about him. So anyway, I was holding pads for Harmon after class. There's like half an hour, 45 minutes after class. And then this guy's just stretching in the corner. So it's three of us, me, Harmon, this other guy's just stretching. And then after like me holding pads for a long time, he comes up to us and he's kind of like, "Oh, am I interrupting or anything?" And I'm like, "No." And then he's like, I'm kind of like curious about like fighting. Is like who would I talk to if I want to like take a fight or something? And I'm like, okay, well, I've never seen this guy before.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, like, so what's your experience or whatever? And then he's like, I've kind of trained myself or something for a couple of years. And I'm like, okay, red flag number one.
I was just about to say that.
I don't
Either
know
way,
if
right.
train
You don't
myself.
train yourself.
Yeah, I'm like I don't know about that. And then he's like, yeah, well, I've been to like other gyms and stuff like that. And then like when I spar those other guys or whatever, they say, the pros say like I'm really good and whatever. I'm like, okay, like where have you been? Like what are these gyms?
Yeah.
Like who's saying that
Yeah.
you're good, right? And then he mentioned some gym I don't think I even heard of the gym before.
Do you remember the name?
I forgot.
Oh, okay.
And then he was saying, he mentioned the guy's name. He's like the coach there was like Russell or Russ or something. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know who's that? Like, I don't
Yeah.
even know. But anyway, so it's,
Yeah.
like another red flag. I'm like, I don't know who these guys are and whatever. And then I was like, well, I don't know, maybe just talk to Tristan, come to class.
Yeah.
And then maybe he'll put you in some like amateur like kickboxing or some like amateur jits stuff and whatever, right? And then he's like, well, I don't really want to do like kickboxing or whatever. I kind of want to just like do MMA. Like I kind of want to just like fight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but like, don't you think you should like try whatever? And he's like, yeah. And then his answer was hilarious. He was like, yeah, well, like, but I think like, you know, if you look at Khabib stand up, it's not that. And I'm like,
What?
bro,
Wow.
dude, like, what are you trying to? What are you saying, bro? Like, he fucking, like, and it's in my head, all these things are going on. I'm like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if you like
Oh my God.
drop McGregor, like, are you
Yeah.
saying does that mean McGregor's stand up's bad or like? I don't know what you're trying to say here. Like, I
He
don't.
does that shit every day, right?
But at the same time, like so it turns out so later he actually came to class and then he did like wrestling class or whatever. And Tristan said he actually is pretty good, and I guess he's probably done more training than he let on.
Yeah,
And he said
that's
and Tristan was saying like he can tell he's had some like fight in him, like he's probably had a lot of street fights
Yeah.
or whatever. And he's like he wouldn't be worried about him like freezing or anything because he's
Okay.
been in a lot of fights. It'd just be like gas, maybe
Yeah.
like he might be gas or whatever. But tagging on to what you were saying is that like fighting's not just like technical skill and whatever, like it's performance and it's also like that heat of like I can tell like that's what that guy's talking about. It's like
Yeah.
that heat of the moment, like I just want to be in a fight, like the fight, like I want to like
Yeah,
this guy's trying
intensity.
to fight me, like
Yeah,
fight
yeah.
me, like that kind of like intensity, right? Like and I think that's kind of what you're talking about. Is like that's a very like being beat by that. Like I don't know when you've had that. Like if somebody's like really putting it on you and
Yeah.
you admit it, you're like okay, yeah, I can't take this.
Yeah.
Like this guy's he will beat me. Like his will is stronger.
Yeah, it's
than
a
mine.
break you kind of thing. Or
Yeah,
you feel
so-
like it's much more. You can concede a game of football or a game of cards. You can concede pretty much anything, but conceding a fight, it feels like so much different.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know when you like tap to submission. It's
Yeah.
like you admit it. You're like yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
that's
you have me.
Yeah, like I
You
can't.
can do
I'm
whatever
done.
you want to me.
Right.
So
Like
that's-
Achilles was telling me there's this one time where he was doing like rounds to train for his fight and he was going he's Dave Perrin, is that his name?
Oh yeah, David.
Yeah, David Perron or whatever, and then he's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
Right, and then he was in like I think a rear naked or something, and he was like passing out. He's like, oh, I'm gonna tap, and then he remembers, and he was talking about like, you know what? After you tap or after you like lose a round or something, like later that day, you're always like, fuck.
Yeah, you think about it.
Yeah, like I
you think about it
tapped
for
or like I
sure.
lost and like you just should I have tapped or like I could have tried more or whatever. And he said he remembers like what that feels like, and then he's like fuck that, and then he like did the thing and he like somehow got out of it.
Yeah.
And then after he just like felt so good because he didn't submit, like he didn't tap to it. But yeah, no, I just thought that was super. That's such a big thing, right? Because that happens to me when I lose a round or whatever, and then like at the time I'm not too sad, but then like as time progresses since I lose that round, I'm like fuck.
It's like when you're eating dinner, like
Yeah.
God,
Yeah, you're like
Yeah.
like you get like there's been times like I remember I was overtraining, like now that I think about it, I was overtraining a lot, and then I went to Friday kickboxing, and Manny just fucking clocked me so many times because I was just
yeah.
like, and you know Manny fucking pretty strong punches and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
And then I just remember like getting home, and like as soon as I got home I just sat on the chair just like fuck, am I even like good? am I good at this or like what the
Hey, am
fuck?
I?
Then again, you're comparing
Yeah, like-
yourself to like you're
Yeah,
sparring
and
against Manny, but it's not exactly a true representation of how good you are, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and then someone else was saying like Hardeep was saying, I can't like compare like weight classes.
Yeah,
which
true-
is
true
fair.
that,
Which
like,
is
there's
fair.
Yeah.
right.
Literally a 40-pound difference between the two.
Yeah, everybody keeps
Yeah.
saying that, right?
But the thing is,
which
too,
makes sense. Yeah.
Like the reflection process is important. Because
Yeah.
if you don't like kind of reflect on something, I feel like you're not going to improve as quickly.
No,
you know,
for
if you
sure.
can pinpoint where you went wrong with somewhere, it's good as long as you don't let that like overcome your motivation to train.
Yeah.
Let that be like a fire, like a
Yeah.
fuel to the fire kind of thing. Because
Like I'm gonna get better.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Like the animes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get better.
So, yeah, see
Right.
where you went wrong, and then kind of like fix it. Don't let it like get better, not bitter. You know.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, that's
but it's such
that's
a
a
hard
really good
thing.
tagline. You should adopt that. Get better,
No,
not better.
well, that
yeah.
was things that
Yeah.
were said
Oh,
to
get
me.
better,
like,
not
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, it's important to have that.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and be aware that like it sucks to fail at something, it sucks to be bad at something, but it's a secret ingredient that
Yeah.
gets better.
Yeah, actually, everybody says that, right?
That's
I
cliche.
think anybody successful always says that. Is like failure is necessary, right? Like you don't see all the failures, you just see him with the belt at the end, but you don't know all the
Exactly.
stuff he's gone through,
Yeah,
right? But yeah, so Chris,
Yeah.
you're a relatively new face to me,
yeah.
right? Because I've been here for not that long, but like I don't know, I feel like came in thirsted and stuff. So I don't know, what's your background in general?
Well, basically, I'm from Northern Ireland as well, in case the accent puts anybody off.
Wouldn't
and,
guess.
yeah, and I've only been at this gym for like 3 or 4 months now,
Mm-hmm.
but you know I try to come as regularly as I can, and I've met some super cool guys here, so like, I really feel like I'm part of the new team, like white belts and stuff. So It's really good. My background is a little hazy. Coming from Ireland, like boxing's really big. Everybody like wants to box, learns how to box. You know, young age. My family were like boxers, and they would always be teaching me when I was super young. So that was kind of how I got introduced into martial arts. And
So was it like a gym you went to, or just your family?
like I went to a couple of gyms back at home. There was ones really close that my uncle attended, and my uncle was kind of like a coach, and my grandfather was kind of like a coach too. So I'd always have like little rounds in the back garden and got interested in boxing that way. And then it was kind of until I got older, a friend of mine sort of told me about MMA and mixed martial arts, and I was always like a diehard boxing fan. So he would be like, no, these guys would kill a boxer in a real fight, and I was like, no way, man. My boxing's the best.
Yeah.
Don't tell me any different. Boxing can beat everybody. I don't care what you say. And then like I watched a few fights and had to concede like, no, this is the legit shit.
Did you guys watch that? Didn't they put like Tooney against?
Oh
like,
yeah, James Toney.
James Toney.
Yeah,
so
so
that's
that's
one
one
of
of
the
those
guys.
guys.
Yeah, against Couture. Yeah, and Couture just wrecked.
Yeah.
All you do is just like take him down. And
But it just makes sense though. Like anybody that knows the sport will know. Like even like I don't know, even Tristan could destroy Tony in an MMA fight.
MMA,
for sure,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
Like I had to concede that fact pretty quickly, and that grew me into MMA. Then it became a guy that likes MMA, not boxing. And next minute I know, I was just always watching MMA, UFC, and eventually said, you know what, I wanna train, I wanna get good at this.
When did you move here?
I moved here 4 months ago, so I've been here like 4 months now. And I came from Toronto before, so I've been in Canada for a year. I was in Toronto for 8 months, did a couple of months training there at gym SBG Toronto, met some great guys, super cool vibe in the gym, and that really...
It's better. No, I'm kidding.
Well, yeah, I'm going to get my ass kicked by both the guys.
No, I'm
who
just
met
kidding,
me,
I'm
so-
just kidding.
No, but they're really good, and lit a fire under my ass basically, and came here and just like fell in love with the vibe.
And then, how did you hear about us again? I forgot.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting story. So, literally, at home one day, Googled it, MMA gyms in Vancouver, and Checkmat didn't even appear. Like, it wasn't even
That's our thing. We don't
on the,
exist.
on the radar. I see like all the other ones, like Alliance, Gracie Baja, TriStar, and like I went to like Alliance just to watch a class. Didn't fit my profile. Went to TriStar, a bit far away, and then my buddy, who was wanting to train with me, he's very new. He was like, "Have you ever heard of a gym called Checkmat?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Like Checkmat's a big name." And he said, "There's one here," and I was kind of shocked. And we came here, and like I think the first class I seen was like Manny teaching leg locks, and I was just like instantly, because I suck at them, but like I kind of like leg entanglements is one of the areas I kind of would love to get good at. And from then, I just was like, "Yeah, this is."
Draw your leg locks now.
Still suck. And they're always
Finish
gonna
somebody
suck.
like with 13 seconds left in the match.
Oh yeah,
That's
no, you got it.
with
you gotta be
with
proud
an
of
ankle
that
lock,
one,
man.
I got
Down-
to be coaching, man. That
Down
one,
8-2 or
Wait,
something.
when was this? Was it in a competition recently?
Yeah, in a competition. It was
Yeah,
like-
that actually. Do you know what? That's my most. Sounds sucky to say, but proudest. I actually enjoyed that match better than any other match, just because I was actually down on points. He was like the only dude. that
So
scored
how does it?
points
So
for me.
like I don't do any jiu-jitsu at all, really. So like,
Yeah.
how explain to me how it works, like points and stuff.
Well,
like,
there's two different kinds of competitions. You can have like sub only, which was the first competition I did.
Okay.
And
Is that timed rounds or like?
yeah,
Just,
4 minutes of a match, and then if there nobody subs nobody, then you
Goes
have one
overtime.
two overtime rounds. At
Well,
most.
just
yeah,
because
two,
it just becomes an overtime
yeah.
thing, because if you both don't sub each other,
Yeah.
then it continues on. You have different kind of rule sets, different variations, but the one that I was in was like, you have 60 seconds, you start on their back, and then you try and sub him, and if he lasts 60 seconds, he goes on your back,
Oh.
and then whoever
It's
escapes...
like Overwatch. Have you guys played Overwatch?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Right, where like you
similar
get a chance and then they get a chance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the sub only, and then you have like the points, which is based on that like IBJJF.
Yeah.
So I think with that, like if you get a takedown, it's 2 points. You pass guard, it's 2, and I think if you secure a position like side control or mount, side control is 3, and I believe mount is 4 and back is 4 as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's so much fuckery that goes on with these tournaments. So these referees, they're like purple belts. Some even being like high level blue belts who ref these matches.
Oh, okay.
So they're not the best authorities of what of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like you can get like a takedown, or somebody can pull guard on you, or you can pull guard on somebody else.
Yeah.
But they'll kind of motion like they're going for a takedown, but not actually take you down. but refs will reward them like the takedown points and stuff like that. Like, and you get good positions, side control, whatever. They're not going to award you the points.
So is that also like a timed thing?
yeah,
So,
5 minutes.
So
per
5 minutes,
Yeah.
and then what happens if you sub them? Do you just win?
You just win.
Yeah.
Oh, you
win
just
that
win.
much.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then so usually they do it by belt, right? Is that right?
Yeah, by belt ranking.
Yeah.
Belt ranking.
And
So I
obviously we-
believe white belt is 5 and 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And then I believe blue belt, because last time I did it was like 6 minutes.
Mm.
And
Oh,
then,
really? Is it 6
I
minutes?
think it's 1 minute longer, and then every belt is like a little bit longer. If I remember correctly, I don't know. I haven't competed in like a
Up
really
to
long
like
time.
black belt being 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
yeah.
Was that in the
I don't remember.
BCJJ?
Yeah, I didn't watch those matches, but I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually news to me too.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
So how many like competitions have you guys been in?
I've been in 2. One the CBJJF a while back when I was white belt, and I competed at the Katana at blue.
So
And
what?
that
Okay,
was
what's
it.
CBJJF?
It's
Just
the it stands for Canadian Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation, but I
Okay,
think it's
yeah.
like they're just different organizations.
Yeah.
They just come.
Mhm.
They just have different like tournaments.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of like.
What are some of the good gyms? Just curious.
Good
Lions
gyms?
is the one that
Yeah.
represents the most.
Yeah.
There's also
Well, there's
some-
there's actually quite a few now.
How are the greasy guys?
I think they're very
Yeah,
fundamental.
yeah.
Like they
They-
focus a lot of like basics, but they're
Yeah.
good at the basics.
Good at grips.
Mm.
I find like
Yeah.
they focus a lot on the grips like
Yeah.
starting off. I actually had a greasy Baja guy that I was competing against, and he was noticeably different to the other guys in terms of what he wanted to do. Like they have kind of like a one-dimensional approach. Like,
Hmm.
I felt like he was drilling one
Hmm.
set thing, and once he didn't get it, he kind of was like flustered a little bit.
Hmm.
But he definitely was good. I think he got silver in the gi and bronze in the no gi.
Hmm.
So like he felt good. But there's definitely big name gyms out there.
Yeah.
Like ATOS is huge. Like Rove, have you ever? Yeah, ATOS, but they're like at the bigger.
Oh, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, like they're like the.
So how many guys are at these competitions?
like in
Roughly.
total or
Yeah.
Well, okay, like
Yeah.
in a white belt.
Depends. Like
Yeah.
it depends on your weight and
Yeah.
your age.
Oh, they do weight stuff
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
That makes
and
sense.
your age. So
Yeah.
if you're
So,
30,
like-
then you go in the masters
Yeah.
division, and you have like your own like you verse 30 and over.
Oh.
Yeah. So I had a 16-man bracket in mine.
Yeah,
so
that was a lot.
that's,
That's a lot.
that's the most you can have. So
And you got first?
You got first in
Yeah.
both of them.
Hey.
Yeah.
Gold medal.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Represent.
So yeah, generally the lighter weights have more guys than
Yeah.
the heavier. Like sometimes you'll have 2 guys fighting like the heavyweight brackets.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
like, not even enough to hand out a bronze medal.
Are there like a lot of blue belts too? Are there like?
Yeah. Blue and white would be the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah,
obviously,
wouldn't
yeah.
it? Yeah. That's been
Yeah.
the majority of like competitors.
I think in my opinion, like after I think blue belt is where like a lot of people quit their jiu-jitsu journey.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like,
Yeah,
just
because-
from my outside perspective.
It,
Yeah.
It's like to me, like I feel like the equivalent of getting that belt takes so much time and effort, and once you have it, you're like, oh, but you're just kind of at the peak of the mountain, then
yeah.
you gotta like discover everything else. You're like, do I want to like?
Yeah.
I put
how
in
much it
a lot of
takes.
fucking work, and I'm getting owned by all these purple belts now.
Yeah.
So it's like
How
it's kinda-
far, like for example, how far away from you, like from purple, do you think you are?
well, we have. I don't think my jiu-jitsu is that good, but we have like stripes on belts. So there's, I
Right.
think once you get 4, then that's the highest stripe. Then you go to the next
Yeah.
belt. But I have 3 at the moment, so I would say like
2
kinda,
away from purple.
Yeah, like, but I feel like I have a long way to go before
Yeah,
I
everyone
can.
feels like that too.
Yeah.
Like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Like I definitely
Yeah.
feel that a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot with martial arts in general.
Mhm.
You never feel like you're as good as maybe other people might see it.
Yeah.
You know, it feels
Yeah.
different when you're actually doing it.
I always feel like that when people are like, I'm good or whatever, but I'm like,
Yeah,
I know
it's-
my weaknesses.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
almost
Right.
embarrassing to receive compliments like that about your own game.
Yeah, because you're like, no, I don't deserve that. That's
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
that good. Like,
Yeah.
you
You're
guys
just
think
being
I'm-
nice, man. It's like thanks, but you're being nice. Like,
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
they're just trying to like
Yeah.
Yeah.
grease you up a little bit. But
Like you're super hypercritical with yourself. I think that's why you need like a good team to kind of like bring yourself up.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's like
sure.
point out your goods because you yourself is going to point out your bads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
you know
All
your
the time.
weaknesses,
That's
yeah,
actually
for
a really
sure,
good point,
right?
All
for
the
sure.
time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean that's what a good team's for, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's absolutely.
That's what we have. We have
Yeah,
a good
man.
team. I don't know. I've never been to other gyms. Like, have you guys been to a lot of other gyms or like?
There was a year when I was dabbling in like every single conceivable gym out there. So
Oh, really?
I've tried the ones. I've tried what's that one? 10th Planet Willem.
We've
Right.
been to Planet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or Titan MMA.
Yeah.
I've tried Alliance. I've tried. Well, I've tried pretty much everyone out there. This is easily the most focused gym that I've ever been to.
Like in what sense? Like they don't.
Like every other gym's commercial. Like they're trying to cater to people who aren't into martial arts. It's more of a fitness class.
Fitness
kind of vibe.
jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
like there's a difference between like
yeah.
sport and like actual like practicality for jiu-jitsu.
So like,
right?
what would you do in like a commercial jits gym that's not as like
I feel like
applicable?
Gracie Baja would be maybe
Yeah.
part of it, where you have like a set curriculum for, like, let's say to get your blue belt, you would be like, first of all, you need to understand how to hip escape, then you'd understand like the basics from guard, and everyone that at that white belt, I feel like all have the same game because they're taught like this is like the best grip or whatever.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense.
and
When you
they
say
don't-
curriculum, that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like these are the things you have to check off to learn. It's like, you know, when you go to
Or
school,
whatever.
you have to take these courses,
Yeah.
right? You have to take the armbar course.
But, but like you said earlier, it doesn't fit everyone. Like everyone has a different style, and some people don't like to play the traditional like jiu-jitsu game. Some people like to branch off and play
Get
other
creative.
things. Right?
Yeah. And like timestamps is another one I've heard. Like you have to attend this many classes or put this many hours in to be given a
Do
stride.
you think that's only Gracie?
No, I think that probably happens.
Alliance is
Yeah.
like that too.
Yeah.
Not to beg on every single gym out there, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
But,
doesn't really
yeah.
cater. Like that might be good standardized practice for a lot of people.
I think it makes
Yeah.
sense from like a knowledge. If you
Yeah.
want to make it like that, like a if you know these many moves,
Yeah.
then that technically qualifies for like you have this you've amassed this amount of knowledge, which should kind of align with like a blue belt,
Yeah.
right? Which kind of makes sense, right? But I guess I don't know. Is our gym's more like competitive
I'd
focused,
say-
kind of? You know
I'd
what I
say
mean?
Like,
Tristan
you
will
apply it,
award promotions based on his on performance more so
Yeah.
than
Yeah, performance, right? Like,
I,
you know,
I
like
feel like it's overall too.
Yeah.
You know, like you can have like a killer like set like a killer wrestler for example.
Yeah.
But he might not know that many great submissions. And he could still be like a worthy, 3 or 4 stripe white belt.
Yeah.
And he gets a chance to showcase what he's good at. It's like doubling down on what you're good at, as
Yeah.
well as trying to overall bring your whole game up.
Mhm.
It gives you a chance to kind of like get creative, nurture what you're good at, don't become one dimensional. I feel like that kind of Gracie Baja stuff, not bagging on them because obviously they're great, they're affiliate and stuff, but I feel like they become one dimensional. You kind of have an idea of what they might be doing.
well, it's because that's what they kind of force you into that.
Yeah.
I guess if they have a curriculum,
Yeah.
I would assume, right? But
I suppose there's like a fine line between becoming a specialist and becoming like a one-trick pony. You know,
Yeah, but I, at the same time, I see why they do that because, like, from my understanding of doing jiu-jitsu for a while, I feel like at white belt, like you don't have a game, and blue belt you still don't really have a game, but you're starting to like see, oh, my body likes to do this kind of stuff, and like this
Yeah.
is the stuff I like to do, and I feel like really at purple belt, that's when you accumulated all the knowledge. And now you're like, okay, like I can do all these pretty well, and then at purple, I feel like
you can
like,
start to break the rules.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because that made me think about striking, right? It's like I want to, if I'm teaching, I would teach basics, like basic coordination, how to throw punches. And there's going to be things that I'm not, like I'm going to like never do this,
Yeah.
always do this. And there's going to be these very like fundamental basics. But there's guys like Radley, and there's
Yeah,
guys
you
like, you know,
break every-
Achilles and stuff
yeah.
too,
Yeah.
right? Like a lot of us, once you get to a certain level, like you're going to be breaking the technical rules, but it works for them because they're that good at it,
and
right?
they have a really good understanding of like their bodies and their like. So like Radley does like hands down, but he knows when to drop his hands and when he's safe and when he can hit you, and the advantages of having the hands down versus the, he can exploit all your if you're really technical, he can exploit all the holes in your technical like.
Because he knows the technical game too, right?
But he's just added a his flavor on top of, yeah.
calculated risk almost too.
Yeah.
Just knowing what pays off and knowing what doesn't. And
So I always felt that was like one of the biggest like challenges as like an instructor is like, you have to teach the fundamentals and the basics, but only to a certain extent based on your student. Because your student will have strengths, like, I wouldn't teach you something I teach you or something like that, right? Like different students require different care, right? I always thought that was like the best instructors would like, like I wouldn't teach Radley how to do like basic boxing because that's just not his style,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like, and Hardeep came in to do like the Friday class, and I said to him right away, I'm like, we're just gonna do basics today. I don't know if you want to like jump in because he's already like he's fought all these
he's
times
fought.
and he's got his own style, right? Because I'm teaching like literally like basic like step with your left foot and jab at the same time, right? But that isn't even what he does, right? Like he's very bouncy, and then he'll strike out of like a long range position, and that's nothing like what we were doing, right? And it wouldn't even help him to like add that to his game even.
Yeah.
But-
You know, actually, that what you just said like makes me like realize that like I watched a video on like what's the difference between like a purple and a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and like you said with Hardeep, like he has all the knowledge for the basics, but sometimes like when you develop your own style, you get used to it, but you know what's good and bad, but you still have holes. And I feel like once you get to that like brown belt, then all those, you still have your style, but that's when you close all those holes and stuff as well. So like
Does anyone think they're ever gonna get to like purple bra? Like is that the goal? Is that the goal? Is that like what you guys? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, it's not a pipe dream, but it's not something. It's not so immediate that I'm gonna like, look
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
that. And,
Real-
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really consider myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I think it's good. I think it's because I feel like at other places they probably would be more about the belts. Maybe I'm just assuming. I don't know. I have no like experience in the jiu-jitsu
That's
world,
a
but
personal thing. I feel like
Yeah.
'cause I've heard guys that are just starting out that are, you know, trying to work out how many classes they need to go to get their next stripe, to get their next belt and stuff. Which is,
That's
you know,
unfortunate.
fine. That might motivate
Yeah.
them, but like for other people, like for me, and this is coming from a very inexperienced guy, like just bottom rung of the ladder. I feel like it's all about what you know. It doesn't matter what color of belt you've got on. You can put on a black belt. You know, it doesn't make you a black belt. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you are as good as you perform.
That's true. But I think for me, like, I guess my fire for this sport and competing has kind of like died. Whereas before I was like, yeah, man, straight up BFL, I'm off on fight and stuff.
Yeah.
And after doing a couple competitions and after I'm done, I'm like, yo, man, that took a lot out of me. I don't know if I can sum up that like energy to do it again. But I feel like I really enjoy teaching. So to me, the belt is kind of important. Not because of like, if I have this belt, I've got the skill. But if you've got that belt, then you can perhaps like teach other people to
Like a credential.
and
almost.
start
Yeah.
making money and stuff.
That makes
right?
a lot of sense.
So for me, it's not so much like I want to get it to be that good. I just like I want to accumulate that knowledge and then pass it on. So like it would be nice to make
Yeah.
a career
Yeah.
off teaching people, like instead of working in an office or
teach more.
Right,
Man.
absolutely.
They're trying to do that level 1, level 2 kickboxing stuff, and then I'm sure that we'd have room for like a level, like a beginner's jits. I'd come to your beginner's. Remember we were talking about this?
Yeah.
We're talking about this. We were like I was like,
I
you
would
should teach
it,
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you
I'd
should
do
fucking
that.
do that.
Still,
Yeah, you should.
for
do
sure.
I mean,
that.
I'm not that good, but I mean, like I know the little details and stuff,
Yeah.
but like I can't perform it, but like in an actual
Yeah.
role. But
I'd definitely come to that class
Yeah, I'll
too,
come to
man.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, Chris.
There's
Nice try,
a
man.
5 o'clock slot every Tuesdays and Thursdays that
Oh,
haven't
okay.
has been filled for a long time. You can.
oh, okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
I don't know. I feel qualified though, but.
is that like an actual goal that you'd have though? Like to
Yeah,
teach
I
actually?
like ultimately I really want to like pursue like personal training and like not for and like help people that not necessarily want to fight, but like just learn this stuff and just
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of like that. Like I've never.
like I don't really care if they fight in BFL or whatever.
Yeah, because like all these guys are always like they always ask you, right? Like, oh, like when are you gonna fight?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But for me, it's never been
Yeah.
about that. I guess it's always like I don't know. I watch like I'm watching Street Fighter 2V. I don't know if you guys know that. Like it's an old school Street Fighter, and it's like pretty gritty. Like people die and it's really bloody and stuff like that. But Ryu, like I feel like it's like his character's always like he trains. His line is like I train because I'm weak. I don't know if that came from that show, but that's like a Ryu thing from
Yeah.
Street Fighter, and like I don't know if that's exactly how I feel, but it's something along those lines where it's like I don't train because I'm trying to like beat people and I want to like the prestige of winning and whatever. Because I said in the first podcast, right? It's like even if I go win against some guy from some other gym, it's like I still come back here. Joey shit kicks me, and it's kind of like I don't know why I care that much, right? And I mean that part there's something to like performing, and we talked about that, right? How it's like performing when it matters on the day of and whatever, right? But I don't know, I guess I just never had that like fire drive. Like I know like so like Hendav, for example, when they see people in the cage training, he gets like excited, like hyped, like I want to be in there, like that's what I want, that's what I want to work up to, and he's trying to like kind of low key record because he wants to learn and whatever, right? And like I like really value like obviously I want to get better and learn and stuff like that, but like seeing people like drill like in like fight camp and like really grinding it out, like you're getting like mushed against the cage, and it's like you're getting shark tanked and it's whatever. And it's like that's not something that like I have super like motivation to do, I guess. And I guess because I've seen it close up with Achilles too, right? It's like I see how much the rest of his life he has to sacrifice, which he's down for it obviously, but it's like it's very difficult, like
It is.
to do all, like you said too, right after
Yeah.
doing the competitions, like cutting
You
and all
just
the like.
realize like at first when you watch other people do it, you're like, that'd be pretty cool, and then when you actually do it, you're like, I don't fucking know if I can do this again.
Like even me, like I get hangry like really easily. Like, I don't know how I'd ever cut. Yeah, dude. Like I get really irritated, hangry. Like I don't even know I could do it. And like, yeah. And then the nerves too. Like I've never been really like a spotlight kind of. Like I never like there's those questions about like personality types and whatever, and they're like, oh, would you gravitate to the middle of the room or are you like the corner?
Wall
The corner or the
yeah.
wall guy. Like I'm a wall guy.
Fight-
Like
the
I don't
fight or
like
flight kind of
Yeah.
response.
Yeah, well, that's different.
Yeah.
That's like if someone tries to attack you, like what are you
Yeah.
gonna do? But I just mean like, at the club. Or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
Like, do you want to
Or
be
you
on
could be at the-
stage,
yeah.
or do you want to like not even be in the club? Because I don't
Yeah.
go to the club. Like So I'm usually like a like I kind of like
yeah, we're
look
kind of about
quiet.
that life.
Yeah, like I'm like kind of more of like a quiet guy, so
Yeah.
I don't need the glory
Yeah.
of like I beat this guy in front of everybody and everybody saw like which I know it's not all about that. Like a big thing is testing yourself
Yeah.
and performing and all that stuff, right? And that's probably the only reason why I would. Maybe
Yeah.
it's to, like test myself, like we talked about this, like
Yeah.
against guys that aren't from I've never fought before, and like putting all the stuff I learned to practice and stuff like that. But
Even
yeah.
jiu-jitsu competition, you still get that kind
Yeah,
of those kind of like
Nerves.
fighting kind
Yeah.
of nerves. It's
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
it's really like a real showcase of like what.
Yeah, I feel like it's like everything's on the line.
Yeah.
It's like do the thing, you gotta do the thing.
Just
right?
remember to do that thing.
And I feel like I get tunnel vision too if I'm like too like someone clips me or they're beating me. I'm not like calm sometimes. Like sometimes like you should be like, okay, he's using that a lot on me. I need to like figure out a way and like problem solve to get out of that. But like it's not. I know it. I recognize it. But then my reaction sometimes is just barrel forward and start swinging. Like and it's just like that's not. I don't. And that's what I say to people too. Is like if I were to be in a competition, I'd prefer to be more like Mayweather than like Diaz brothers. Right, because the Diaz brothers are just like it's all that hard, just like swinging and just like bleeding and just like it's a brawl. But like I'd rather be Mayweather where I like straight outplayed him. Like I totally outplayed him. Like I outsmarted him. Like my fighter IQ is clearly higher than his. Right.
Yeah.
Finesse him. Right. Like I want to finesse the guy. But and I just feel like I'm not there like motivational wise to like fill in all my holes and stuff like that. But I know like it's funny because there's like Tristan and then there's Achilles, right? Where like Achilles is like that, the Mayweather style. But Tristan's kind of like, just get in there and get the experience, right? Like ring time or whatever, like cage time and all that stuff, which makes sense too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't
It's
know.
good that we have like different coaches that have different ways of doing things because you can take one from each. And
That's the toughest part. We talk about this a lot with like our gym too, though, is that like all our coaches, quote unquote, are like active fighters,
Yeah.
and like I've always craved like a personal kind of like coach, which I know is difficult. Like I feel like I'm not asking them to be because they're active fighters,
Yeah.
right? And it's really cool to like learn stuff that they're applying. So that's the benefit of it is like they're actually this is what they're gonna use in their next fight. Like this is what they're teaching us, right? So that's awesome. But I notice like other gyms have like a dedicated like head coach who's like retired, like Franco kind of guy that's like he's there for the people. But I know like there's I've heard like issues come up with that too sometimes where like you have like favorites and stuff where they spend more time with like whatever. So I don't know what the solution is there, but I know like I just believe like one of the fastest ways to like progress as like a martial artist is to have like an individual coach that is like focusing on, like I said, I wouldn't teach Radley the same things I teach like you, right? But because you have that coach, he's focusing on those holes and like tightening those things up, right? But yeah, so we're almost up on an hour.
oh wow.
Damn.
Yeah, we're at like we're
Yeah,
at
when time just flies by real fast.
54 minutes roughly. So
Holy shit.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys wanted to get some rounds in now because we're right before
Yeah,
open mat.
Let's I think
Yeah,
so, that'd be a good
everything
idea.
goes out now.
Yeah,
We're pretty good.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good second podcast. Got 2 podcasts in today. Hopefully we'll do it. So is Sundays good for you guys?
Sunday
Yeah,
works for me.
absolutely. Right before training is
Cool.
Yeah, just like a little warm up before training.
All right. Well, that's Checkmat podcast number 2 in the books.
Peace.
Thanks for listening.
Peace.